Hello and welcome back to the Kimberly Lovey podcast. I am your host, Kimberly Lovey. You guys, I have something to talk to you about today, and it's around social anxiety and showing up authentically. Now, I don't really know why I felt compelled to talk about this, but I think it's kind of in light of the new season of going back to school, kind of wrapping up our summer and starting a new school year, not only for our kids, but also for ourselves in our communities as parents. And I think some of those changes can really spawn some anxiety in both our children and ourselves. And I think that we as parents are responsible for how we conduct ourselves through those feelings and therefore pass those things on to our children as well, kind of as a byproduct through example, or if you're really great at articulating ways to navigate these feelings with your kids, obviously that's super helpful to them. So last year, I remember that Carter said to me, "Mommy, I'm nervous. I'm anxious to go to school." And I didn't even realize he had those words in his vocabulary. Now, I will say Carter is hyper aware. He has very high verbal skills and emotional intelligence. And for him to be able to verbalize that, I think was very indicative of probably how many of his peers were feeling and probably didn't know how to say it. So I just wanted to share that with you because even if your child is not saying any of these things, it's very possible that they are experiencing the feelings of, what does it feel like going into a new setting? And I think that it's super valid for them to feel that way because, look, we as adults feel the same way, especially when we don't know what to expect in a certain situation, which, a lot of these kids have no idea what to expect on their first day of a new school or a new grade, new teachers, new friends, all that stuff. So keep that in the back of your mind as we kind of move through our discussion. Even if you're not a parent or if you're a parent and your kids are past this stage, I just want to acknowledge that there is a lot of stress and social anxiety for both parents and children in this season. And I personally just want to confront it head on with you. So with that, let's dive in. Okay, so we are starting a completely new school this year, and it's pretty, I don't know how to describe it. A lot of mixed feelings. How's that? So that's kind of what probably initiated this discussion and what prompted the discussion, because I personally am going to be stepping into new settings myself. And it just kind of got me thinking. I feel that I'm generally pretty confident, but even I, as a confident person, feel like sometimes you just start to wonder, what are other people going to think about me? How should I act in this situation? What should I be wearing? All the things, right? And especially for stay-at-home moms. But again, even if you're a working person, a working parent, a working single person, really anyone entering any new situation, whether it's in the work setting or in a social setting, I just want to really hone in on how do we conduct ourselves in these situations. So some of the best advice I ever got, and I don't remember where I got it from, but this is something that I definitely use. No matter what situation you're in, no matter how nervous you might be, whether you're walking into a boardroom, whether you're walking into a first date, it doesn't matter what the situation is, walk in with a smile. A smile truly is the best accessory that you can possibly bring to the table. Not your hair, not your makeup, not your purse, not your fancy car, not your fancy watch. Nobody cares. Okay? When you enter a room, and remember this for any time that you are especially feeling uneasy or nervous, anxious, any of those normal feelings, walk in with a smile, because people will see your smile and immediately connect with you. They will look at you directly in the eyes. They will feel your energy as being warm and welcoming, and they'll be attracted to that. It shows that you are a happy, confident person, even if you're feeling anxious. And breaking the ice too, like if somebody comes to me and I'm in a new situation, call a spade. Be like, "Hi, I'm Kimberly. I'm new. I have no idea what we're doing, but this should be a fun day." So say something positive. It could be funny. It can be self-deprecating, but just try and be authentic, I think, is the most important thing aside from your smile. So the first thing is bring your smile. The second thing is go in and be completely authentic. So I think, especially when we're in a new setting, we really don't know the audience. It's hard to kind of know how to behave when you don't know who your audience is. And I think that's very disorienting. So I personally like to keep things fairly middle of the road. So what do you mean by that? I would say kind of just give yourself a minute to observe the crowd and the scene and listen and be more of a listener initially, because you never know who you're talking to. So don't assume just because you're at an event for your school, say, that it's a bunch of uneducated stay-at-home moms. Like, no, it could be an executive, a CEO. Just yesterday I met somebody and I started having preconceived notions about who this person might be, and it turned out that she was something totally different. And I just think you need to approach people with a very open mind and open heart. And so instead of focusing on yourself, focus on being a listener, being a learner, be curious about other people. So come in, be dressed middle of the road. What do I mean by that? Don't be the most flamboyant person in the room and having this look at me vibe, or I'm better than you, or, I don't know. Just, I would say, dress appropriately and then come in and be curious. So be middle of the road as far as how you plan to enter the space, so that when you enter the space, you kind of can be more of a listener and observer, and you can really get to know people around you. I think last year was my first year being a stay-at-home mom, and the first year I ever had being really, really involved with the school. I had been involved the previous 2 years, but this was the first time I was really rolling up my sleeves and trying to contribute as much as I could, because that's where I wanted to put my energy, since I was able to now that I wasn't working. And so I think the thing that made that experience for me personally so successful was that I truly showed up trying to help other people, connect with other people, share information, listen to who they are and their story and how they ended up here, and finding common ground. And I just think if you show up looking for a way to give to other people and to learn about them, I think that is what really will help you establish genuine relationships. By the way, when I was a management consultant for nearly a decade, this is something I also did, and I did it from a very young age and was able to sell tens of millions of dollars of work. And the reason for that, I believe, is not only did I work really hard, but I always put the client first and other people and the work above myself. It wasn't about me, it was about them. And so in doing that, I was able to serve them best by getting to know them. Like, what exactly are your pain points at your organization? What is making your job hard? What is it that you need the most help with? Another example I'll give you was I was offered a very big position somewhere, and before I just said yes and clamored at money and accepted the position, I was like, what are your pain points? What hurts the most? What is the hardest part for you? What are your goals? Because I personally am not interested in just showing up to take a bunch of money and having a fancy title. That's not going to work out for both of us. Okay, at the end of the day, I need to contribute in a very meaningful way. And I can't do that unless I fully understand what it is that you need help on and what your goals are and why is it hard for you right now. How can I help you get from point A to point B? And I think when you're doing that in a business setting, or you're doing that in a friendship setting, or in a community of any kind, trying to solve for how you can contribute. Look, maybe it's not up to you, right? Like if you're joining a school board, or you're, even for me, like a room parent or whatever, okay, it's not necessarily your role to go and save the world and fix all the problems. There's certain times and places where you're going to be empowered to really lean in hard. But I would say that is something that it's a privilege you have to earn when people want that level of support from you. But I would say when you're initially meeting people, walking into an organization, again, this can be in a social setting, it can be in a parenting setting with the school, or it can be in a business setting. I would say the first thing you always want to do is, 1, show up with a smile, 2, show up authentically and with an open mind, and 3, show up curious and really ask people, meet them where they are. How did you end up at this school? Why do you like this school? What have you learned so far? Ask a couple key questions and you'll be shocked at how people really do respond. And they'll sense that you're genuine, that you're really there to learn about them and their experience, and that you're there to get oriented quickly so that you can then turn around and add as much value as possible. So it really can be on so many different levels. And it's interesting because this podcast started off very business oriented because that's really my background. And obviously I've transitioned further and further into parenting. And so I just see a lot of parallels. And that's why on this podcast, I love to toggle between the business world and the parenting world, because I feel like there's just so many key lessons here that kind of transcend across both. And at the end of the day, it comes down to people, right? So that's the thing. I love people and I love sharing things about myself, but I also love to add value and educate and inspire, hopefully. So I just think about, so many people out there that they show up to these functions and they're just not the outgoing type like I am. They don't feel confident. They don't know what to say. And they're just really largely unsure of themselves. And I feel like that's just, your kids are going to pick up on that. And I think that the more you can put yourself out there and really push yourself out of your comfort zone, you're going to find a connection. You'll find more than one connection and you're going to find common ground. And why is that important? Is because you're then forming a real community around you that's comfortable, and you're providing your kids with friendships, you're providing resources and information to those around you. And, it just is part of being a contributing member to any community. And I just think that when you're doing that, it makes you feel better. Like yesterday, I'm a room parent, yay, at the new school. And I did that because I wanted to make sure that I was able to understand the school better, make connections faster with people around me, and make sure that I have a chance to really show who I am and to just really connect with people. I think that being a parent can be very lonely and very isolating, especially if you're staying home. But I also think being a working parent can be hard too. So for me, it's all about finding connections and sharing information. And last night I sent out a group text about, hey, don't forget this and don't forget that. And someone's like, oh, you're killing it already. I'm like, look, it's not about me killing it. I'm just trying not to drop the ball. I got 3 kids here. It's hard. It's hard to remember every which last thing, and having that community and support around you really does make all the difference. So if anybody out there has multiple kids and you've been in the parenting game for a long time, you're like, yeah, I know. So, and I have to say that is something that I love about the mom community, is it is so collaborative. Like, it really is all about, like, look, if there's 20 of us, we just need one of us to know what's going on. Just one. Not all of us need to know every single thing, right? It's like, which outfit are we supposed to wear? What snack are we supposed to bring? Or when do we show up at this place? Like, it's just, there's so much going on all the time that it's hard to manage it all by yourself, especially when it's just, it's an informal setting all the time. So anyway, I just want to say, if that's you, if you're somebody out there that, you're going to be new to a school, you're going to be new to a job, you're new to a city, or you just want to show up maybe a little bit differently in a certain situation at your job or at your whatever your community involvement is, if you want to show up differently or better or more confidently, these are really, really good practical tips, I hope, for you guys, so that you can really be your best. Because let me tell you, the community needs you, whatever it is. It can be in a religious setting, it can be, your kid's soccer practice. It doesn't matter what it is, but if you're holding back because you're afraid of what other people think about you, that is really a detriment, because then you're not giving your best of who you are. And I guarantee you do have something to contribute. It doesn't mean it's that you're the head coach. Maybe you're the person that can get the sign done, the banner, or whatever your contribution is. I guarantee that's going to help the community. So I want you to really lean in hard. And you really can't do that when you're stuck in your own head and you're just, oh my gosh, am I wearing the right thing? How's my hair? Da, da, da. You know what? Show up in a way that makes you feel the most confident. If that means, blow drying your hair that day, if that means throwing on makeup, if that means getting a fresh dress, fine. Other people For them, it's they want to lose weight, or they want to, I don't know, whatever makes them feel the most confident. But I would say show up confident, show up excited and eager to get to know people. And don't be afraid to say like, oh, this is awkward, or I have no idea what I'm doing, or hey, I'm glad we all finally made it here because this was a ride just getting here, or boy, my kid had a rough day. How was your first day? Or, whatever the thing is, like put yourself out there so that people can get to know you and connect with you. Because I guarantee when you do that, it's going to resonate with people, and it's going to form your bonds in such a meaningful way that will really transform your lives and your kids' life. Outdoor Movies by You is not just your average rental company. We consider ourselves an outdoor movie event company. Starting in 2011, we created the idea of bringing the movie theater to your backyard. Other than maybe a park with a ton of strangers, no one really knew what the outdoor movie was. With having over 30 years of experience of being a social event planner, Carrie combined the two and has created an event company that focuses on the outdoor movie concept. Simple options to choose from, just the basic, the actor, to having it all, Act 2, In-N-Out Burger packages. We offer seating, swag bags, s'mores, blankets, you name it, we can get it. We like to think of ourselves as a one-stop shop. Oh, and free popcorn with every event. We have no area boundaries from Santa Barbara to San Diego and everywhere in between. Once the pandemic hit, we had never seen anything like this. Our business grew by leaps and bounds as it was the safest way to entertain. We felt that we were putting laughs and smiles on faces in such a dark time. Whether it's a date night for 2 or a school with 1,000, Outdoor Movies by You will roll out the red carpet every time. See us in action on Instagram at Outdoor Movies by You. So that was kind of my 2 cents. The other thing I was going to say is that we did have our first day at kindergarten and first grade. First morning, the kids are there right here, right now, as we're recording. London had her 6-month shots. Yes, I know you guys cannot believe that London is 6 months old, and I can't either, frankly. But yeah, I feel like we're definitely starting a new chapter, and it's exciting. It's a little bit heartbreaking to watch the kids growing up. I have to say, Carter has a new hairstyle where we use gel, and it's more messy vibes, and it's kind of freaking me out. We were able to go to the school visitation, and he was so excited to be there, and he already had friends, and that just made everything so much easier. And basically what we had done this summer was we put our kids into the summer camp so that they were able to transition easier, and today felt just seamless. Like it was such a great investment and such a great strategy to transition their schools. And I really recommend doing that. If maybe next year you're going to transition your child, like definitely putting them into summer camp where they're going to be is huge, because this year everyone was excited. They already knew all their friends. They weren't nervous. Like they were just trying to remember who their teachers were. And, it was very fun, very cute. Brian and I got up nice and early and dropped them off together. It was definitely a family affair. And baby London, of course, poor thing, she's crying because she had all of her shots, and it's just so sad, but she's hanging in. She started solids, so that's exciting. And no, we don't have Becky anymore. I know some people have asked that. We have no help right now, so that's been interesting. It's been great, but also I feel like my house is kind of a mess. So that's pretty much it, you guys. I hope that this resonated for someone in this short, fun episode, and it was just something on my heart. But go out there, be a learner, be curious, be a contributor, be confident, be yourself. And again, make sure that you are using these tools so that you can coach your kids when they're having these same feelings. So don't be afraid to talk to them and just check in with them and see how they're doing. And again, if it's more of a work setting and you have young people or people you're mentoring, that's another great way to kind of, support them, is just kind of see how they're doing, checking in with them, making sure that they're showing up confident so that they can add as much value as possible. So with that, I'm going to wrap. Baby London is awake. I love you guys, and we'll talk soon. All right, that is it for today. Now, as you know, some of our best conversations actually happen after the show. So I want you to find me on Instagram at Kimberly Lovey and let me know your thoughts about today's show. You can screenshot this episode and let us know what your biggest takeaway was and tag me at Kimberly Lovey, and we can share it on our stories. I will see you again, same time, same place next week.